What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Backliners Podcast. Aggro and Barracuda, as per usual. Barra is bumping a new song that he just sent me, and it was good. And I'm really jealous because he can listen to it while we're doing this podcast, and I can't. Which is really not very fair when you think about it.
Yeah, I'm not the kind of guy that listens to the same song over and over again. And this song, I'm just addicted to. It's Cowabunga by Void, in case anyone wants to know. But this song, we saw them live, I think. Maybe it was before COVID, actually. Good lord. But they were one of the opening bands, and dude, they put on such a good show. And for some reason, this song just came back into my head, and
I love when that happens.
I'm in love.
I absolutely love when that happens. I will definitely be checking that out a little bit. I've been on a little bit of a music kick recently. I've been really enjoying listening to some songs I hadn't listened to in a while. So
From Linkin Park?
I hadn't been listening to a lot of Linkin Park, but now I immediately want to. I don't know about you, but like when I was younger, I would listen to music 24/7, just constantly. And as I've gotten older, I've definitely listened to less music, but I kind of go into and out of the mood to listen to music. Like sometimes I'll be listening to something like all the time. Sometimes I'll only be listening to music, I might go a full day without listening to any music if I'm like just listening to podcasts while I'm doing things instead or something like that, or audiobooks. But I've been in a real music mood recently, so this is kind of a good time for me to try and dive into something a little new. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I am kind of the opposite, where I kind of still just listen to music all day. Like even when I'm streaming and scrimming, I'll just like put on music, but it'll be like at such a low volume, it's not really I'm listening to it. I don't know if that counts or it doesn't count, honestly.
Right.
But it's
No, it
like
counts.
it's like whisper level, so I can like just barely hear it because I obviously don't want to hear it over game sounds, but I still need that like constant noise in my ears, I guess.
Well, we've covered that I just have a song playing in my head all the time.
That is
so
true.
that like covers me a lot of the time.
Yeah, so
in that same zone. So in some ways, I'm always listening to music.
Wait,
Yeah.
so when you listen to music, what's in your head? Is it just
That
a song
song.
playing?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I can really vibe because that part of my brain will predict what I think is going to happen in the sound. And if I predict a song that I haven't heard before and it sounds somewhat similar, my brain becomes very pleased by this. But if a song does something completely unexpected and it doesn't, and I like it less than what I thought it was going to be, I'm instantly very turned off by it. So it's like it's a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? Sometimes it makes me really like vibe with music, and other times it really makes me hate it.
Okay, I have a bone to pick with I think it's like some EDM artists who really like this like I don't know how to describe it really, but like a chainsaw sound kind of.
Oh.
And it's like it's like a choppy chainsaw like and there's been so many like techno songs or EDM, I don't even know what it's classified as nowadays. But where I listen to the song and I'm like, oh my gosh, this song is so good. I'm waiting for the drop, and then just like drops the chainsaw, and I'm like, this is so bad. Like, why would you ruin the rest of the song?
Like,
yeah, like you're trying to massacre some people.
Seriously, that's not what I'm looking for here.
It's like 3 or 4 songs I listened to that I really like vibe with, and I was like, this song is gonna be so good because it keeps building up to the drop, and I don't know if I'm just weird, but I guess this is pretty normal actually. I love the drop in like every song. That's like what I seek, what I like. Right. I guess that's like a metal thing too. Like breakdowns and whatnot. Yeah, that's like my favorite part of every song. And if your drop sucks, the rest of the song, regardless of how good it is, now is bad. It's
like it's just unsatisfying. That's where all the satisfaction lies. And if if it looks good and it smells good, but it doesn't taste good, then you're not going to like it. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it's like. I'm kind of in the Z right now.
That way. Yeah, that was perfect, man.
I am in the Z. Let's get it, dude. This is going to be a good podcast. I don't know what we're actually going to talk about that much. I mean, we obviously have a lot to talk about because 9.10 patch notes went live. I finally get to talk to everybody about Maui, who I've been working on since March, so like 7 months worth of work. And unbelievably excited to be able to show them off to everybody. But I don't really know like the best way to normally we like if this were a Lermy God or a Clumsy God, I would ask him to come on the show, but it's already like partially my show, and I'm already here all the time. So it's not like any different.
If you want, I could just sit back and you just ask yourself questions, and then you're like, "Oh, as a designer, that's a really good question,
actually. Yeah, that's how much I'm in the Z, is that I can actually do it all by myself on this show. No, I don't know. I was gonna say, like, I probably should have asked you this ahead of time, but that's how we do things. Like, do you want to like ask me questions? Do you think?
I could ask you anything,
do you want me to just like ramble and then you can like interject? What do you think the best way to go about it is?
Probably a mixture of both, because you're so in the Z that I feel like I could ask you a basic question. You'll talk for 5 or 10 minutes.
That is almost certainly true. Yes.
Well, we'll start at the beginning. What was step one like? How did you decide on what you wanted to do and who you wanted to do?
That's a really good question. So
Thank you. Aggro.
We are. Well, that's just not what I expected. I thought you were gonna like start with the passive because that's the number one thing. All that kind of stuff.
That's fair.
No. So the God schedule is laid out well in advance. So it's not really a matter of choice for me on who I get. The way it typically works is, we try very hard to make sure that there is a good balance of the different roles and make sure that, every role is getting a God over the course of the year. And that, if we had a solo focused guardian as the last guardian, we would want to make sure that the next one is more of a dual lane focused guardian and all that kind of stuff. So when I was told that Maui would be my first God, and that's kind of like that's where my spot in the schedule would come up, I knew that he was going to be. I was told that they wanted him to be a guardian, and focused primarily on duo lane. That it's okay if he solos. Just like it's cool if like Atlas plays solo or apparently mid. But it's not a Cerberus or a Cthulhu or a Yorm who are more geared towards those roles. So that was it. And then as far as like how the process kind of starts, obviously like don't think I should be giving away too much or anything like that, but doing a couple a period of research where I just kind of like deep dive into Maui's lore and find as many reputable sources as I can, and consume as much content as I can around Hawaiian lore and Maoran lore and like all that kind of stuff, and try and piece apart the differences, because for Maui it was in particular, he's a very central figure in a lot of different Polynesian cultures, and just like the Pacific Islands in general, they all have Maui stories, and they're all like really close, but not exactly the same. And we wanted to really hone in on the Hawaiian Maui more than anything else. So I spent a lot of my time I like have a sheet where I kind of like put all the facts of a story that were all agreed upon across different lore cultures, and then separated like, here are the Hawaiian specific details, here are the details that are specific more towards like this set of islands or this set of islands, like New Zealand, which is Maori, and all that kind of stuff, trying to make sure that I didn't get too confused, because it's pretty easy to do whenever there's like a million different versions of a million different stories.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It sounds very complicated. Like, with the surface level of like Googling, like, oh yeah, what am I supposed to do here? And then it just like breaks apart into like all these like tree roots, basically, like the bottom of the iceberg, I guess. Like,
yeah, it's really fun. I mean, it's really like this job is one that it lets me like look into things really deeply that are a little bit like things I wouldn't normally know, but I really like learning about other cultures and like trying to really understand it as best I can from an outside perspective, and then try and like give as many references and nods and acknowledgments as we can in order to try and make it feel really authentic, which I think Maui turned out feeling very authentic in large part. I shouted him out on Twitter and that kind of stuff and on the Patch Note show, but Davion, an Olympian, and Maui, who works on our marketing team. They are native Hawaiians who I bothered with like a cajillion questions over months. And they were very patient with me and were unbelievably helpful. And I think they deserve a ton of credit for making Maui feel really Hawaiian and really authentic, which I'm really happy about.
They'll be in the credits.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I didn't know it was such like a template based for the designers of like, here's the god, here's what we want them to do, and then it's kind of like you take it from here, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like we hold some meetings to come up with some ideas, and then I come up with a couple of like unique kits that we mix and match. So it's like one kit might be very based around Maui's hook, and another kit might be a little bit more based on like a different part of his lore, like a more of a giving fire type of kit, which is a really big lore story for him. So there was like a fire based kit, not all, it wasn't like Agni, but it was a lot of like, it was a little bit more Fafnir like, I would say, with like buffing. That's
what I was thinking.
Kind of stuff. And we do a little bit of discussion, and I like this aspect of this. I like this aspect of this. This still like needs some work. And then we kind of hodgepodge it together, and away go the actually talented people who could make these things actually happen. I have no idea how. I still don't know how people can take these like really crazy ideas that we put out and just like make it. Like that's super super crazy to me. Still, especially after this process.
So, in those design meetings, does your opinion hold more weight, or is it the more experienced designers holding more weight? Like, say, like, just because it's your god, like, do you have more of a say than others?
Yeah, I mean, AJ and Clumsy have to, like, sign off on whatever I would do. I'm not like, they're not like, you shouldn't do this. And I'm like, nope, I'm doing it. Like, screw you guys. I'm throwing out an island. No, they obviously have to be on board. But I feel like, this was my first god, and those two have done this so much and have been so successful at it. But I definitely felt like they gave me a lot of leeway, and
stuff,
they had a good amount of concerns about a lot of my ideas, as they should have, that didn't make it, and even some that did. And I think that they did a really good job of trusting me a good amount, even though it was my first god. I think the idea of the water pillar that's placing down the Heimdall crystal is one that they know that people have experimented with in the past on the team, and it's always just had a lot of concerns. And I feel very thankful that they were willing to let someone on their first god try and make it work. And I think we did. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and it went through a lot of iteration. But I think a lot of I'm not sure that every boss in the world would let a new person come in and try something that's that it just has a lot of like tech questions and a lot of gameplay implication and all that kind of stuff. And it was a little, they were understandably a little bit worried about that one. But I think that their concern made it better, because it made me be a lot more locked in on, okay, how does it interact with like this, and what are the cancel situations, and all that kind of stuff. I think that heightened sense of awareness was what made it turn out a lot better, for sure.
Nice. So do you like hold the hands of the people making the, I guess, like arts and abilities for like the card art or the look in game, or is it just kind of more of their ideas and whatnot?
Yeah, it's a lot of their ideas for sure. I mean, it's like I kind of do a series of presentations on the god once I've done my research and all that kind of stuff to all of the different teams, and it was my job to get across, this is what we want his personality to be like, this is what we want him to feel like, this is how his gameplay is going to feel, all that kind of stuff, and then letting these really talented professionals kind of go out and explore these ideas on their own. And the way it works is we have a channel that's dedicated to all the Maui stuff, and as people are working, they'll drop a little screenshot in or a little GIF and be like, hey, how is this looking? And then, I make sure to give some feedback. Everybody gives a little bit of feedback, and then they continue to iterate, and then we do that again. And that process takes like 7 months in order to get all that done. But, I'm kind of giving feedback along the way, but they definitely do a lot of the stuff, like, from the information that I give, and then figuring out what they think is best from there.
Do you know if it's always been a 7-month turnaround time?
No, certainly not. Okay. I mean, there have been a lot of different. There have been much faster releases. There have been longer releases.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, back in the day, wasn't it like once a month or like every 2 weeks? I felt like there was like a new god coming out.
Yeah, but they stack those. You know what I mean? Like, I mean.
No, not like saying there should be more gods. I was just like,
no, I know. Correctly. I know. I'm saying that, like, I was working on Maui when Lancelot wasn't even out yet. You know what I mean? And there were there was programming work being done on Maui, like, as Lancelot is releasing and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, and I'm sure it was the same way back then. But there was a lot less other things going on at Hi-Rez and in Smite, and so they could squish a lot of that process. But I think that the schedule that we have now allows us to put a good level of polish on it. It doesn't mean that we fix everything and we caught everything, and I think that no amount of time would ever guarantee those things. It's I've said it before when it comes to, like, mid-season stuff, but releasing these things into the wild is sometimes the only way to catch some issues.
For sure.
Can't guarantee anything ever, but overall, I mean, even in the last, like, month, we made so much progress on, like, fixing issues and making the 3 look so much better and, like, all that kind of stuff that we definitely used our time. There wasn't a whole lot of big downtime in that period, for sure.
I guess you're also helping on other gods while you're working on Maui, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was already researching my next god before Maui is released. I'm already, like, in the process of working on my next one. So.
Big shot, calm down.
I mean, but it's like playtesting others, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm just something I do. It's definitely not just the schedule and what everyone's doing. Just me. Give me a raise, please. Yep.
Okay, so I guess I'll get to the kit. Would you like to pronounce the passive?
You're so scared. You can't just look at Manaya Kalani and just toss it out there.
I was gonna say it right.
Yeah,
okay.
I had Molly, like, send me a voice recording that I listened to, like, 53 times before the patch notes show and all that kind of stuff. So I don't blame you.
Yeah, there's just a lot of vowels there, and I don't trust my southern accent to say that perfectly.
No, I'm sure I didn't even nail it, to be honest.
Well, I guess I'll read it and then you can talk about it.
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
When an enemy god is hard crowd controlled near Maui, they are marked for the duration of the crowd control and for an additional 2 seconds afterwards. If Maui basic attacks an enemy with this mark, his next basic attack becomes enhanced. Any god hit by Maui's enhanced basic attacks are pulled to him. This passive has a 10-second cooldown.
Yeah, so I suppose I should start with the basic attack range being a little unique. Maui's basic attacks are a unique range of 25. Most melee attackers are 12, and spear users are 16. So his is 25, and so it's kind of like this little rectangle that hits the whole area. It's always a cleave, and this passive was that was part of this passive design, was him having these longer basic attacks. We talked about having it only be longer when you have the enhanced one and the rest are normal, but we're on God 143, not actually, we're in like the 20s, but
I was like,
no, we're on God like this is like God 119 or 120 or something like that.
Okay.
And so we want to keep doing things that feel unique and feel fun, and it remains to be seen if the constant cleave is going to be OP in support or solo or even jungle or something like that. But we have Sylvanas, who shows us that can be okay. And I think these are weaker than Sylvanas's. So we felt pretty comfortable with that, and it feels right for, this big hook. He's got the rope, all that kind of stuff. Like it just kind of fits it. So that was part of this particular passive design. Initially, this went through a lot of iterations, because on paper, I think people read this passive and think, holy crap, this is super OP. And I agree. I thought this was going to be really, really strong. And initially it was, if you just basic attack an enemy god that's marked, you pull them. So it was like a CC extender was kind of the idea. And you'll hear this a lot during this podcast. Maui was very underwhelming in the vast majority of dev playtests. There was a time, I think it was in middle of August, that he was just crapping it. Like, he was so bad. I was terrible on him. Everyone was playing horribly on him. And I was like, dude, does my kit just suck? Like, what is going on? Like, I thought he was so underpowered. And I thought that he was going to be super OP from minute one. Like, I was worried about how much he did and all this kind of stuff. And some things changed ultimately. But, like, I was like, man, this god is going to be OP. I'm going to spend all of my dev time nerfing him. And really, I spent all of my dev time buffing him. Because he felt
Please get better.
Like, really underwhelming. And the passive was a huge part of that it really didn't, it just was not being nearly as impactful as I and as basically the whole team expected. The change to charge your basic, and then the next one is the one that pulls. It solves some issues for us, and while it makes it a little bit wordier and a little bit harder to understand the first few times you use it, I think that it feels really, really good and really, really natural once you get used to it. And I think that our team did get much better at utilizing it. It ultimately became not as strong as I thought it would be initially, but I would describe this as a good passive.
What's the range on it?
Same as his basics, 25. So for marks, you can see them if they are within 55 units, within ranged basic range. Okay. But he doesn't, you don't have like that aura. It's really hidden. It's really just like for the tech end, like, because and no one else sees the marks, only Maui does, because they aren't relevant to anybody else. So it reduces visual clutter in that way. And yeah, it's really just like, if it's I don't need to see someone, if someone gets Mercury ulted across the map, like, I don't need to see a mark on them because I can never reach them in time in order to proc it. I wanted it to feel like a range that I could reasonably get there, even if, if I have to blink or jump, like, maybe I can get there in time. That's really good enough. So yeah, it's not super long, but you'll be able to see it pretty easily. Okay. I think it's actually bigger than basic attack range now that I think about it. I think we changed that.
How are his basic attacks, like, charge up wise? Is it like a normal Guardian's basic attack, or is it pretty fast?
Yeah, it's pretty, it's not, we did a pass not too long ago on like Terra and Fafnir basics, those like really big windups that felt really slow.
Yeah.
It's not that slow. It's pretty normal, I would say. Maybe like slightly longer than someone like Ymir. Like, I could pull it up, I suppose, but I couldn't. Yeah, they're pretty normal. We didn't want them feeling unresponsive, especially with it being so important to get the basic off.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because it is a sorry, got distracted by chat.
Yeah, Davion, I was just saying, he was so helpful. You gotta fulfill his request. Go ahead and I already pronounced it for you. What's the passive name here, Barry?
Manaya Kalani?
Yeah, not bad. There it is.
I went to college.
Yep, and they didn't teach that there, but it did help in some way, And that is the name of his hook, by the way, which translates to "Made Fast to the Heavens," which is a badass name.
That is really cool. So wait, do you want me to go to the next button, or you want to?
It's up to you, bro. Do you got questions about the passive, or do you want to move to the next button?
I mean, it seems pretty straightforward to me. I think it would be fun to have a different aspect. Because I feel like most supports aren't really worried about auto attacking in a team fight. Like
Mm-hmm.
brain wise, that's not something you're really thinking about.
Right.
And I think that adds another aspect of it, especially in appeal. Like if he's playing like a Kepri, I don't know his actual play style.
Mm-hmm.
This is also my first time seeing him. Uh,
You didn't
but
watch
if
any
you're
of the
playing,
gameplay or anything like that, dude. You got to see the animation team went so hard, man. The 3 animation, like I mean, every animation is great, but the 3 and the ultimate in particular, mwah, they're beautiful. They're so
they're
good.
perfect.
They're so they
Yeah.
turned out exactly like I thought they would in my head, man. They pulled it straight out of my brain and put it into a game.
Oh,
Like that is so insane to me. They did such a good job.
yeah. This was like one of the few patch notes that I didn't watch, and I feel kind of bad. Well, I'm pretty sure I had scrims during it, but yeah, I feel kind of bad
Doing
that
your
I missed,
job,
your release. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. You just pull it up
Uh,
and watch it on mute as you're going. You know, that's all. That's all you gotta
okay.
do.
Yeah, if you want to carry the rest of the episode, I will.
Yes, yeah, no problem. I will say, just because I got the question a lot, the passive does respect knockback immunity. So if you are using an ability that is knockback immune and you're hit by the charged basic, it will not pull you.
Interesting.
But it also, I do like that it makes you consider your hunter picks, like, and when you're picking Maui, like, you know, he's really good with gods who can set his own who can set his passive up for him so that he doesn't need to jump in to do it. So you know, Neith, Kernanos, Hoyi, these gods who can stun or root from a range. Maui feels really really good with those, and obviously still good with other gods as well. But I like the I've got this type of hunter who has this strength, and that's going to make my pick a little bit better. I think that's a fun aspect of composition building.
All right, on to the first button.
Let's do it.
Master Fisherman is the name. It's not complicated. I can say it.
Nice and easy for that one.
Maui charges up, spinning his hook and preparing it to go farther than the longer he charges. Did not read that well. When he refires, the projectile damages enemies and stops on first god hit. If Maui hits an enemy god, he reels them in, crippling and vortexing them towards himself for 1.5 seconds. Maui can cancel this ability at any time, and it scales from 100 damage to 360 plus 50% of your magical power. Max range is 55. Cost goes from 60 to 80. Cooldown goes from 16 to 14.
Wow, we're even going over mana costs here. We're really getting into
very important for
the
these
nitty gritty.
here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, he's a god with a big fishing hook. He obviously had to have a hook ability, but when you think about the types of hooks we have in Smite, we kind of have them covered. You know, between Sylvanas hook, Mulan hook, Naja, I would consider a type of hook. You know, I would consider Atlas 2 a hook. We have a lot of them. So that was what really it stressed me out a little bit during the brainstorming phase, was like, okay, how do I do a different type of hook? And that's also partially where the passive came from. I think that the passive was from a different kit that was the only hook in the whole kit. And we felt like he could probably just use both. But yeah, this ability had a lot of different iteration. It didn't go through creeps for a while, and it just felt like he was super useless as a support. He just didn't put any type of threat on the lane, which, as you know, Bear, is like a really big deal for a support, is to like be threatening. It felt like he didn't have any threat if it couldn't pierce creeps. So, you know, we made that change. For a while, it had some more CC on it. For a while, he was rooted while pulling. I was really happy that we were able to get it so that he can move a little bit while he's reeling in. It makes it really feel more like a tug of war, like alive type of ability, which is really fun. And I was really, really happy about that. You know, this ability is really, it for a while we had it so that it cancels, for a while it was treated the same way as Baron Alt, where if you touched Maui, it would stop it. You'd be let go right away. And we had a lot of trouble. He had a lot of trouble peeling for people, because if you were melee range on him and he hit you with this, it just damaged you and did like a really quick cripple. And that was it. And that felt really, really bad. I believe it was Chaos who just said, like, what if we just didn't cancel it when it reached him? Wouldn't that make it feel a lot better? And holy crap, that guy's a genius in many, many ways. But especially in that, I like legitimately credit him with saving this ability, because it was feeling really bad for a long time. And that made the ability feel so good right away. It makes you feel like this big, strong guardian who's just like keeping this warrior away from your hunter or mage, and feels really rewarding in that way. You can still cancel it if you want to by right-clicking, all that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of the Olarun, like, AO1 charge up and distance grow, so I was happy to steal that idea from Clumsy and use it for myself. And yeah, I think it feels like its own type of hook. It doesn't feel like anything else in Smite. And I know a lot of, particularly for this next ability, I've seen so much like, oh, aggro must be a Thresh main from League. I'm really not. It's, the idea, Thresh Lantern is certainly an iconic support ability, but I think that we were able to make a Smite ability and not just make Thresh Lantern, which was something that was really important to me. And that's really where I see the similarities kind of like end. It's just like a comment I saw a lot, which was funny, which is fine, because, Thresh is a very cool, very iconic support and a very popular character. So I hope that Maui is as popular and as successful as Thresh has been in League, but I do think that it is just like they use, it's a MOBA, and there's a lot of ability crossover both ways. It just kind of reminded me of it when I was talking about the hooks. I saw a lot of people comparing the hooks, and I don't really feel the same way about how their hooks work. But understand where they're coming from with the two at the very least.
Wait, it's a dumb question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you said this. Does this go through walls?
It does not. No.
Okay.
It goes through creeps, does not go through walls.
Okay, good.
Just because it doesn't pull you to Maui, I thought it would feel really bad if you're like, just your back's up against this wall and you like can't get away from it. You're like, it's like Persephone tethered to it. Yeah, yep. It just didn't feel right. We talked about it, decided that it was much better to stay not going through walls.
Nice. Next button, Mystical Ulua?
Yeah, Ulua. Yep, that'll do.
Okay, perfect. Maui throws an Ulua made of magical water that explodes on landing, giving all allied gods within 35 units protections and movement speed for 5 seconds. The Ulua creates a pillar of water that lasts for 10 seconds. If an allied god stands in the water for 1 second, a bubble forms around them and carries them to Maui's location, where they receive protections and movement speed for 5 seconds. If Maui leaves the aura radius and no ally is interacting with the water, it is destroyed. Prots from 5 to 25, movement speed from 4 to 20%, aura radius is 110. Cost from 55 to 75, and cooldown from 14 to 10. Yeah,
this is for you, Barry.
That's a really cool ability.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I can explain it in a very simple way that doesn't require me to put it all in a tooltip, which, by the way, it was so hard to fit this ability into the tooltip. You throw a fish that pops into a little puddle of water, and if your ally stands on that puddle of water, a bubble will form around them, and they'll be carried to you. You are throwing a Heimdall crystal to your teammate that will bring them to you, is really how the ability works. And for the channel rules on how that bubble forms, it is exactly the same as Heimdall crystal. All the things that would interrupt Heimdall's teleport, like roots, cripple, stuns, they will all interrupt the Ulua teleport. All of the abilities that don't, knock straight up, you can beads while you're going through it. You can BCC immune while you're going through it. Those all are the exact same thing. So yeah, this ability went through a million iterations on theming and, how it'll work and what it'll look like and what it'll do. And, for a little bit it did damage when you threw it, but then it was like, I don't know if I should be using this for damage or for my allies and like all this kind of stuff. And there was a lot of tension around how this ability was working. And it was Clumsy's suggestion, which again, just like I think Chaos really saved the 1. I think Clumsy really saved the 2 with a suggestion of what if it just felt like throwing a relic into your team? Like, what if that's just how it felt to throw? And then it can do the teleport thing still as the primary function, but that's going to be a high skill capability. We want this to feel impactful even if you aren't in comms or anything like that. This is going to be his best ability in comp by a country mile. Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking, dude. This ability sounds cracked, but like a non-OP way, like in a fun way.
We'll see.
Well, maybe.
We'll see.
Well,
I'm a little worried about what the pros are going to be able to do with this ability in particular. But, it was really important to us that players at every skill level and every organization level can use this ability and feel good doing it. And Clumsy's suggestion of making it feel like throwing a relic into your team was like so smart. Took damage out of his kit, which is something that we felt like we could afford to do, especially with his basic attacks, and made this ability just is fun, man. It's just fun to use. And then once you get good, it took a much longer time than I thought it would for me to get good at placing my 2, and then it took everyone else a little bit of time after that because I'd been thinking about how to use this 2 for like months before it was even playtestable, and it still took me a while. So the skill, there is definitely a amount of playtime that it takes in order to get used to both using the 2 and then taking the 2 if you're an ally. But man, does it feel good. Once you get it, you just feel like you can do a million things, and saving people feels incredible. It isn't super consistent at that because 1 second is a pretty short time, but you have to like stand on top of it in one place, and when it's Heimdall and you're ready for it, it's easier, but when someone's throwing it to you, it's a little bit harder. But once people get used to it, man, it's gonna be really good.
What's the throwing range?
You can throw it. I have it on my little document here. Give me 1 second.
And what's the max range? Like the distance range?
They can go 110. If Maui throws it and then walks to the edge, then they can go that distance. But we did a lot of, let me know if you can break it once he's live. But it's really okay. He can throw it 55.
Wow,
is how far he can throw it. And
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
so
fun.
If he like gets Horus ulted or something like that, they cannot go any further than 110 around the thing, which is bigger than AMC Hive range. AMC Hive range is either 90 or 100, I think. So it's a really big area. But when you like turn around and throw it and then go back the way you were like you like 180 throw it and then you keep running the way you were going initially, you'll end up hitting that edge pretty quickly because you're throwing it 55 units behind you. So we felt. Yeah, you can see the aura. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can see the aura. Nobody else can. Again, visual clutter is something that we want to really cut down on. But no one else really needs to see it, I don't think. If you step out and someone is in the middle of channeling on it, we'll let them try and finish their channel.
So how many people can channel at the
only
same
one
time?
Well, okay. Multiple people can channel at the same time. Only one can finish it. As soon as one person finishes the deployable, the water goes away.
Okay.
So it is a one port only. Is the thing.
So if the water goes away, the movement speed and protection radius goes away as well?
No, so the movement speed and protection radius is only on instant. You throw it, it explodes. Everyone in that area gets movement speed and protection. But if you walk into the area afterwards, and it's not 110 radius for these prots and movement speed, by the way.
Yeah, it's 35, right?
Yeah, it's 35. So it's really like it, which is the size of meditation. So you're like throwing a little meditate-sized movement, speed, and protections thing into a team fight, which feels unbelievably fun. And then even if someone walks in later, they won't get it. But if they complete the channel, when they pop out of the bubble near you, they'll get the protections and movement speed. Because, they should get buffed. They did the thing. So, yeah, I mean, this ability was tough to nail down for sure. I'm super happy with where it ended up. I gotta give a big shout out to Sock or Shane, the effects artist who was point on Maui. I mean, obviously all of his effects are incredible, but in particular, there was so much iteration on this ability and making sure that it's visible, but not too noisy. But allies can see it, but enemies don't need to. They need to be able to see it, but shouldn't take up their whole screen. Like all this kind of stuff. How do I tell when I'm being teleported? There's a little bit of screen treatment, like with Loki 2, but not obscuring you because it's obviously a friendly thing, but you can tell that a bubble's forming because some water starts closing in on the edges of your screen and all that kind of stuff. Really, I know this ability was a huge headache for him, but I think people really like how, I know I really like, and I think a lot of people really like how it looks in game with the big pillar of water. It's really, really cool and really unique in what it does. So I think that's really awesome.
What's the travel speed for it once you're in the bubble? And also, can it transport any allied god, like a Jormungandr or something like that?
Oh, yeah. And like I said, being CC immune doesn't stop your channel. So I saw someone in chat ask, can you teleport an ulting Cthulhu? Yep, you sure can. You can, someone can pop their Scylla ult and get in there, and they'll be in their Scylla ult when they arrive. You're going to be able to do some insane stuff. Insane.
That sounds so sick.
It's going to be so fun. It's going to be so troll. I have no idea how someone's going to break it. I'm sure it's going to happen, and I'm really excited for it. But yeah, it's the travel speed is the same speed as Heimdall Crystal. Okay. I wanted to copy that ability as much as we could because copying something from our own game is a really good way to make it feel familiar and normal because players have already built up muscle memory on how fast does this happen? What does it look like all that kind of stuff. And this is an ability that is very different in its application already. So it's important to make it feel as normal and as expected as possible where we can. So it's really fast. Don't get me wrong. Heim Crystal is fast. If you're a fan of the base to lane port, then you get there pretty quick. You just can't use it again for a little bit.
I assume you're not immune to damage. Like if you get hit by a dot right before you transfer, I assume you still take the dot damage while you're traveling?
Yes, you shouldn't be you should be considered untargetable, which would keep a dot on you.
So it take like Neath ult off?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure. It probably shouldn't, but it should. It's kind of like when you're, how when you're like in Apollo ult, you can kind of guide the Neath arrow to hit someone below you.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Wait, you can do that?
Yeah. That would be my guess. That's how it works. It should work. Okay. The answer should be, however Heim works is how it should work.
Okay.
But things can get a little bit weird. I did see someone say like Ymir ult, someone an ulting Ymir. I think I mentioned that on the update show. I think I'm wrong on that. I need to do some investigation on it, so I know exactly what it is. You can imagine there are a lot of plates to be juggling with this kind of stuff, so apologies on the mistake. But I'm pretty sure there are gods that are they have to be they cannot be moved. And that is different than CC immunity. So like Ymir ult is one that he can't move, his model can't end up moving. Horus Ultimate is different than this. And so that's why you, I believe, can do that with Horus ult. I think you cannot actually with this. There are certain gods that you can toss it on top of him and he'll just stay. And as soon as it blows up, it'll channel and he'll go. But I could be wrong on that. I didn't get a chance to check in on it, but I did, I remembered after patch notes, someone brought it up, and then I was like, oh, yeah, maybe actually it isn't like that. So apologies on that. There will be some, type of clarification from me or something like that eventually.
I mean, overall, like, I love this button. I think this is like one of the coolest buttons. Not even saying this because you're here, but I think this is one of, like, the coolest buttons that is in Smite in a like totality.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
it's
I
something
love
that
this
we've wanted to
design.
do. The teams wanted to do forever. It was just like finding the right spot, and I think that we really found the right spot. And you will love it as an ADC for sure because it
Yep.
really sets up so many plays for you. I remember the first time Kabam playtested Maui. Like I said, this ability in particular had a really high skill. It did a really high like skill ceiling, and I was playing ADC on Kabam's team. He was playing support, and
Well, that's a stacked lane right there.
sure was. I was clearing the wave. I was finishing clearing the wave, and he just walked up to the enemy purple and tossed the bubble into my lane, and I just kind of like stood next to it, clearing the wave, and he just stood there staring at them on their purple.
Yep.
And they have to respect me taking the bubble. They have to respect me being able to do that. But I also can, if they are respecting it too much and aren't like engaging on him or trying to pull the buff, I can just clear the wave and shove it and then walk. And so it really like it just keeps your options open really, really well. So yeah, it as an ADC, and dude, this is basically Omega Blink for your jungler.
Yep.
Because you can just turn, toss it into the jungle, start walking in, jump in, something like that. Your jungler can take it, port 110 units basically towards you guys really fast, and then have protections and movement speed when he lands, and then blink.
And then he can blink and then jump after you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So get ready for that, because the gank setup for Maui is actually crazy. It is crazy. It's so fun. Plus, as Percy said in chat, it's the int bailout. If you're inting, he can bail you out a little bit, which, not that you would ever do, Barry, but some might.
No.
Yeah.
Of course not. Yeah, this is just a really cool button. All right, on to the next one. Solar Swing. Maui leaps, lashes his hook onto a ray of sunlight, and swings from it. He swings back and forth before he leaps from the rope and slams his hook into the ground, damaging and stunning all enemies in the area. While he swings, Maui can reactivate this ability at any time to leap early. Landing damage goes from 110 to 335 and 60% of your magical power. Radius is 17.5, cost is 70 to 90. Cooldown stays the same at 16 seconds.
Yeah, it doesn't have it here, but stun duration goes up. I don't know why that isn't in the patch notes. Stun duration does go up per rank. I think it's 1.1 scaling to 1.5, which is the same as on her Impale. 17.5 radius is Hachiman 2. So pretty big area. Yeah, this ability, Maui is a fun, loving guy. He's a little bit of a troll. He's gonna have a good time and make sure you're knowing it and all that kind of stuff. And so it just felt really appropriate for him to have this like over the top, super fun, in your face, like he's messing around type of ability. And he's also a trickster, is a big part of his lore. And so I wanted some type of trickiness in the kit somewhere if we could. I didn't want to... It's not going to have stealth or like a clone or anything like that. But it felt... I really was hoping that I could jam a little bit of trickiness in somewhere. And I think that we did a really good job with that. Here with the 3. I'm a big single-player adventure gamer. I love Uncharted and Tomb Raider and Horizon Zero Dawn and Ghost of Tsushima and like all that kind of stuff. And like all of those games have the swing on the rope and you have to time your jump in order to get to get to where you need to go. And I was like, man, we haven't really done that. Old Ho-Yi jump kind of did something similar, but that felt like he was kind of on this rail. It didn't feel...
It was so awkward.
Yeah, it didn't feel very responsive. It didn't...
He was on this rail.
It literally was like zip lining is what it looked like, right?
Like the perfect description.
And so I was like really wary. I was like, guys, if we want... I pitched the ability, but I was like... I remember being, talking to the gameplay team and the animation team and the other designers, and I was like, it can't feel like old Ho-Yi jump. Like, that's the most important thing. is that it can't feel like old Hoyu jump. I don't want it to feel like he's on a zip line. You know, we have a lot of limitations on what we can actually do with momentum and all that kind of stuff. But I really would like this ability if we can make it feel like he's not on a track, basically. And the animation team, Ali was the point, and you know, the programming team and Brian and Chaos and all those guys, like they're just they're just living goats, and nailed it. It feels so fun. It's so like, it has so much wow factor when you watch someone else use it. It feels so fun to use. It can be a little bit predictable if you're just going for the max range every time, and I already was impressed with how well people on PTS were juking this ability. You know, it's not you don't want to go vertically against this ability, you want to go horizontally in order to make him miss. But, you know, it's a very strong initiation. It needs to be in order to warrant using your escape to attack. It's why Bacchus flop is really good. And Bacchus then has a lot of protections and mitigations in the kit afterwards. But yeah, it was really important, I thought, that Maui also had a normal, non-ultimate ability that would proc his own passive. So he needed you know, I was pretty adamant from the minute we decided that he was going to have this passive that he needed to have a hard CC somewhere in the kit. And, you know, the big superhero landing, the slam down, all that kind of stuff, like, it's just Maui, you know what I mean? He's doing this, you know, he's the one-handed swing and the hand on the hip and all that kind of stuff as he swings back, and and then the jump off into like the big like hook slam into the ground turned out so well. It's
right,
just
so dumb question.
Yeah.
How long can you swing for?
It is 1.8 seconds total. If you want to stay up in the air that long, and you are untargetable for that duration, which is a long time, especially for a tank. To be out of the playing field. And the fact that his ultimate also takes him out of the playing field is something that we discussed. We sped up the ultimate a little bit because of that. You know, we mess with the timing of this 3 a ton. But yeah, it's forward, back, forward. And then we kick you off on the second forward. But you can up down really quick on this ability to hit everyone right underneath you. You should do that after you ult people. There's a hint. But you know, you can spend a lot of time buying time up there, but it's a strong amount. It's a good amount of damage for a Guardian, and it's a good CC in a pretty decent area. So you know, you wanna get in there with it the vast majority of the time. So I will say one of the hardest I've ever laughed at a play in a play test was the first time that I ran up to a wall. Lermy was playing Baka. I ran up to a wall and did my swing over, and she jumped, and then I did the swing. I just didn't leap off. I swung back and just landed right back where I took off from and walked out, you know, the other way. And I was like laughing. I was laughing so hard. And then I tried to do it to her again the next day, and she totally read it, and I was just dead. But it is so fun to use like that. The little whoop. You know, not going over the wall. She said that was slander. She's wrong. I remember it very well. Yeah, it's really, this ability is just like one of those abilities that I think people are gonna be blown away by how it looks. By how it looks in particular. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Last button, I assume it's the ultimate. It is called Landfall. Another easy to pronounce, you know,
that's right,
name. Thank you.
Maui, and a shout out to Magic the Gathering, a complete obsession of mine. This is a Magic mechanic. I literally was thinking about ultimate names, and I was looking at different Magic cards as I was thinking of ultimate names, and I saw a card that had Landfall, and I was like, wait a second, couldn't I just use this?
Wait a second, I'm taking this. Maui selects an area, becomes CC immune, and leaps into the air. He throws his hook at the target area, pulls up an island, knocking all enemies in the area up into the air, and pulls them in front of himself. The island remains on the battleground, blocking player movement for 4 seconds. Maui can reactivate this ability to destroy the island early. Knock-up damage from 275 to 675, plus 80%. Knock-up area is 22.5. Island area is 18. Cost 100. Cooldown 90. Also, I like that all the radiuses and all that stuff is in the here. I mean, I'm looking for the stun adding up, but
Yeah,
I really like all this.
Yeah, I particularly like that the mana costs are there. Everyone's got to know that.
Very important.
Because as we all know, costs are important, especially on your phone bill.
Oh, I fell for it.
He fell for it. We still got it. I waited a little longer than I should have. I should have done this ad earlier. I just got too wrapped up in Maui, but I had to get it in there somewhere. Look, if there's anything we've learned after spending years dealing with fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, there's always a catch. With Maui, it's like you're getting caught. In some cases, Maui is the catch because he's so handsome and nice. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly onto you. Look, you've heard us say it a million times. Unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered all on the nation's largest 5G network. You get to keep your own phone and keep your same phone number and all of your existing contacts. And Barra has made the switch, and it took him how long, Barry?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. That's not that long.
Ryan Reynolds comes personally to your door to deliver your Mint Mobile package.
That happened for you.
Yeah, it didn't happen to you?
No, it didn't. So maybe it's not. Maybe it's only if you're Barracuda. You actually was he?
Yeah.
How did he smell?
Like flowers. There's just an I knew who it was before I even got to the door.
Interesting. I think that Ryan Reynolds would smell more like a mahogany, like a wood. Not like a. Not
I bet you do.
Okay. Not like I think a lot of if you think about like Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, that guy would smell like a whiskey. Nice strong like whiskey and oak. You know what I mean? Ryan Reynolds I feel like he would smell like a brand new, freshly polished wooden table.
Well, I kept wanting to say prairie, but my brain kept going to pasture, and I was like, that's not right. So then I just went with flowers, which made the most sense.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. He smells good either way. We can confirm that.
Delicious.
And we can confirm that to get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped straight to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/backliners. That's mintmobile.com/backliners. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/backliners.
And they have the option to just go ahead and pay in a lump sum, so you don't have to think about it all year, and you can auto renew, and it's very nice.
Could not be any easier. So shout out to Ryan Reynolds and to Mint Mobile. Okay, yeah, Landfall. Whenever I was told that Maui would be the god that I'd be working on, I immediately started thinking about what could he do, and now I know a little better to not like set ideas in my own head, and it's better to like do other teams' brainstorms first and then kind of form my opinions based on those. I think is a little bit better. But I will say that the literal, and this is the honest to God truth, the first ability I thought of was a version of Landfall, which was I was thinking, what do I think is the most fun ability to use for a support / initiation character? And to me, that is Hercules 2. That ability feels so good. What if
until your like big toe gets hit by it and you're like, that didn't hit me? Well,
beads forehead. What is a cool way to do a different version of Hercules 2? What if we just did a Vulcan ult into a Hercules 2? And that was how it fit. That's how it feels. Just picking an area, he would, in my initial idea, which was much worse than what it was this like big wind up and throw, and then he would like jump and pull, and like it made no sense. The animation team was like, this makes no sense. This is way better, but way nicer than that. And they were so right. but I have been in love with how this ability feels since day one. I'm really he's done a million different big feats in mythology that would get him to be a major deity in any mythology. But the most iconic one, I think, especially for the hook, is pulling up the islands. Pulling up the Hawaiian Islands and New Zealand and all this kind of stuff. And so if we were going to go with the hook as the big gameplay feature, it made a lot of sense to have pulling up the island somewhere. I love the how it looks and the flavor and the theming of it. And having a ranged placeable circular wall, which we've never really done before, is really fun. Ymir Wall is one of those abilities that I think feels really, really good to use as a support. Mm-hmm. This is on an ultimate, so it's not quite as frequent, but getting to ranged place a wall to block off escapes is really fun. And then just causing a bunch of people to go flying in the air is like the best. Like, that feels so fun. And for a long time, their knock-up height was so high that they were literally, if they weren't at absolute max range, they went so high that they were going off the top of Maui's screen. They were like literally coming from orbit, basically. And it was hilarious and fun, and we had to lower it because it was just like,
yeah, I'm about to say,
so confusing. It was like impossible to follow up on. And it made me sad, but it was absolutely the right call. Man, I'm just so happy with how this ability turned out. The animation, the camera kind of coming over the shoulder, kind of Rama style, feels really awesome. Using the island, all that kind of stuff is really great. And even when the rest of the kit was not feeling super strong, this ultimate always did. I would be surprised if people considered this not a top 10 ultimate in the game. It is really, 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 really good. This ultimate is really, really good. Even when you miss, it can be impactful. Just plugging off a hole that they could run through in the jungle, especially near fire, is super, super useful. It's awesome. I'm so stoked with how this ability turned out. It's just so funny. It is so fun to use. It is so fun. I cannot express how fun it is yoinking someone from their tower or pulling one person and blocking someone else's escape at the exact same time by doing this super sick jump up and yank. It feels so awesome.
Dude, I'm watching Trelly play this god right now. And wait, is PTS still on?
I don't know. Probably not, right? It's the night before it goes live, so probably not.
Dude, this god looks so fun.
Yeah, thanks. I think so too.
Holy. Okay. I just wanted to see the old get cast basically before, because thankfully you discussed a lot about the old. This looks so cool. I'm so genuinely excited. This god plus a Gilgamesh together, I feel like would cause
that's gonna be so
ultimate havoc on people.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, I love this whole kit. This. Okay, I feel like I'm sucking up to you, but this is actually such a cool kit. Dude, if you guys haven't seen it in the game, just go watch Trelly's video.
Yeah,
this looks so cool.
I mean, I appreciate the kind words from you and from everybody. Everyone's been really positive, and obviously that feels really good. I think that this god is hard carried by how he feels and how he looks, and how he sounds. It was crazy how much of a difference sound coming in, because that's usually a little bit later in the process. I remember there was a lot of feedback on my one doesn't feel like it's doing enough damage, and I can't tell when I get hit by the one. And then the audio team took their first pass. Then I didn't change a single number. And everyone was like, wow, the one felt so much better today. It felt like it was hitting harder, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I didn't change a single thing. The sound went in. We have temp sounds and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just think that, I'm obviously very proud of the work that I put in. But I definitely will ultimately end up getting too much credit for how good this god, and how fun this god is. I am endlessly appreciative of the work that all the teams put in, and it takes a village to make one of these for sure. And I definitely don't feel like I had no part in it, but it wasn't all me by any means. And I think that
I can't believe you did this all by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's what a lot of people think, bro. They think that I'm out there freaking doing all this. I can't do anything, man. I literally I hand them a sheet of paper with like a bunch of crayon scribbles on it, and I just like sit in my chair and wait patiently for my god to pop out. Is basically like what it feels like sometimes. It's obviously more active than that, but
you give them a doctor's signature of mythology, and they're like,
all right,
I guess this is what we're working with.
Here we go. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I just think that the thing that excites me the most is that and this probably shouldn't be what I always do, but I think that I'm really happy that he turned out to be a god that I would like to play. Like, this is the style of gameplay that I like, and I think that is why he feels really good in part because we were able to execute on the style that I and Brian, the programmer, and all that kind of stuff, like the style of god that we like to play, which is, I would describe him as a playmaking support.
Yep.
You will not be able to carry ranked games on this god very well. I'll tell you that right now. It is not Hercules in the sense that you can just like solo people. The damage numbers seem high, and they might ultimately end up being really high, but through playtesting, his damage was very low, even in situations where Maui's team is winning. It's a very experienced, very veteran player playing him. If Chaos is putting out bottom player damage in a game where he's like owning the whole game, that means the damage is pretty low. So I think that, and he is a god where I felt like I was owning, or Lermy felt like she was owning, and the team still loses. It isn't one of those solo carry type of gods. It is a god that is really good at highlighting your creativity and highlighting your team play. He is a team-oriented guardian, which is the type of guardian that I like to play. I like playing Fafnir. Like, Fafnir is my favorite guardian because he is not a god that is going to hard carry a game all by himself. At a high level, you can, like a Fafnir can win you a game in comp, and in Masters rank games, you can do a lot, but ultimately, at the end of the day, your damage dealers have to do their job in order to win. And I think that is not a weakness if your Guardian requires that. I think that is what comes with the role.
Yep.
And he has a lot of really, really good tools to set up your damage, but he won't be doing it all himself, which is, maybe that will be problematic for him in a lot of players' hands. And if it is, we'll address it. But I think that it is if you like making that little play that doesn't like show up on the scoreboard, and saving the carry out of a bad position, or blocking off an escape, it didn't do any damage or anything like that, then I think that you're gonna really like Maui. He gets more fun the more you play him, I think. I can't wait to play some games with him tomorrow. It's crazy that it's finally like gonna be out and on live, and I look forward. It only took Incon 11 minutes to say he's super OP. I was watching Incon's first game on PTS, and he was at minute 11, and he goes, "This god needs nerfs," and we take those. Only 11 minutes in. Come on, that's good. That's a long time.
It's longer than I thought it was.
That's what I'm saying. Agreed. I know. It wasn't that long. Or it was like a pretty long time.
And he's got to be saying that for the YouTube clip at the beginning of the video,
I didn't see what the title of Weekend's YouTube video was on Maui, but I'm sure it was
well, it's either the most
intense.
OP god or the worst god in the game. So it's one of those.
It's
you
the only
need
options.
the clickbait, I think.
Yeah, of course. Look, that's how the game was played. I respect it. But
overall, like, this kid looks so fun. It just reminds me of like Gilgamesh for some reason. I guess like look wise, I don't know if they're similar, but I guess I don't know. It's just
They're brawny men.
yeah. I think that's all I got going for me in that comparison. But I'm very excited. I just want to play him, honestly.
Tomorrow. I can't believe it, dude.
Oh,
Lormie's gonna
true.
diamond my own god way before me. I've already accepted this inevitability. She diamonds gods in like 24 hours, and I do not have the skill nor the mental fortitude to do it. So I look forward to watching Lormie's diamond grind for sure. I might toss up a stream or something like that this week.
Ooh.
Play a little bit of Maui myself on stream, kind of talk about it a little bit with people, but maybe not. I've got a friend coming into town, so we'll see. No promises.
Well, I guess we should go ahead and get to the random question of the week.
Yeah, we probably should, huh? Kind of already a little over. We can go over the rest of patch notes next week. Let's. There is one change that I did want to talk about before we
Yes.
wrapped up here. I wanted to get your thoughts on the Book
Devo
of Thoth
gloves.
and the Devo gloves. Yeah, exactly. The flat pen on these evolved items. I mean, obviously from a Devo gloves perspective, but there with Book of Thoth, you were saying last week how much you wish you could just build Devos and have it be good, and I was like, boy, I think Barry's gonna be a happy camper next week. Is this the type of thing that can actually put Devos back in the meta?
Well, unfortunately, the more testing I've done with Devos, the worse I think it is. Not as an item specifically, but just because of how good anti-heal is right now. Like Brawlers and Divine are in my opinion, really good spots and really easily purchasable. I think Devos as an item stat-wise, really good. Like I like the item a lot because it helps me boxing the pesky soul inners, but with anti-heal being this good and this easy, it's just not a Devos meta, unfortunately, as much as I would like it to be. Because I think we had, like, barely any healing on our team, but I was into a Tainted, a Divine, and a Brawlers when I built Devos, and I'm like, unlucky. Like, we had, I can't remember which game it was, but Bascom was, like, a semi, like, soft, like, self-healing god. And they had that much anti-heal, and I was like, dang it, man, why did I go Devos? Like, unlucky. But I think Devos is in a good spot, like, stat-wise and item-wise.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if you feel the same way next week, because I thought a lot of the same things. I was like, man, does 10 flat pen even make that much of a difference for hunters? I feel like it does. Even if the lifesteal isn't the best thing on this, like, I think everyone's thinking about Devos as this lifesteal item, which is obviously appropriate. That's what it's always been. But I think people also forget that when you are able to fully stack this is now just a 70 power, 25% lifesteal, 10 flat pen item. And I think that is good. Play testing, I felt like it was very noticeable. I would be pretty surprised if Devos doesn't see, like, maybe it isn't 100% meta all the time. I would be surprised at, like I was playing ROM, and even just a little bit of flat pen in the early game, like, I felt like I was slamming the other hunter, like slamming them, with just that much power and a little bit of flat pen. Because it's not a stat you always get. It's like only when Aussie is in the meta.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, you like only when Aussie is in the meta do you get it. I don't think you're wrong that the lifesteal oftentimes doesn't end up being that valuable, but I think that 70 power 10 flat pen seems to be a pretty good first item to me, even if you got to stack it.
Yeah, I mean, I am a Devos stan, so I'll be building it regardless of if it's good or bad, just to do some testing.
Love that.
But I will also be sad that I'm not playing Maui when I'm doing that, so...
True.
Unlucky.
No Devos for Maui. Okay, and one more thing about patch notes. Everyone wants us to talk about Purification Beads. This is, for competitive players, the biggest change in the patch. We said it on patch notes. This isn't all instances of my beads didn't go off. stupid high-res servers, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure that it will not fix all of those instances. I feel pretty comfortable saying it will fix a lot of them. Basically, if you didn't know, if you were, let's say you were using Ratatosker 2, the little spin, because that's the one that is the easiest to think about. If you are doing the rat spin and you get stunned instantly as soon as it happens, and you press beads, because you couldn't have beads while you were spinning, because you couldn't use it in the middle of your animation, the server doesn't see that you have stopped your animation and therefore will not let you beads until your animation would have completed. Obviously, this led to a lot of instances where you feel like you're slamming beads and they didn't go off. And it is true. They don't go off. You were slamming it. But that was intended because that's not how our game communicates. It took a lot of work. Big shout outs to the programming team in order to figure out a way to make this work that didn't require very expensive changes to how our game communicates with the server, all that kind of stuff. So Bulbasaur in chat, I wonder how many times this happened to me and you blamed lag. Almost every time you have blamed lag, I think. I'm not saying it guaranteed. But if you thought your beat should have gone off and you thought it was just lag, you were anim locked. That is what happened. Almost certainly. It has made a huge, a massive, a enormous difference, I think. But, I'm not a pro player and not good enough as a pro player, but I'm still a high level player. I think the game will just feel better with beads for every level and won't really know. Competitive players, I think that this literally changes viability for gods. Rat literally, if you cast your Rat 2 in a late game team fight, you were inting. It is literally an int in order to cast your 2 because you will die in that anim time all the time.
It also changes the way frontliners play against each other if another frontliner goes beads.
Yes, because you would wait to anim lock people intentionally.
Yep.
And they could do it regularly, by the way. If you think that pros aren't that good, they are. I promise you, it happens all the time.
Yep. You're they'll literally just stare at the other person, wait for them to cast a button, and then go on them then. Because you interrupt the easy example would be a Guan 3. You can interrupt the Guan 3, wait for him to cast it, and then now he can beads during the Guan 3 and continue his animation. So it gives more power to the person with the channeled button. And I assume it will work similarly for auto attacks as well?
Yes. Yep. And literally anytime you could beads and you aren't I don't think you can beads if you're up in the air and Naja ult, but maybe it is just if you're alive, you can beads, and it won't do anything for you at times.
I remember back in the day, your beads would go off on Najal, and you'd still get
still get launched. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah. It makes a huge difference for sure. Percy in chat asking if we can see this happening to Blink in the future, kind of similar to how you can do it in the middle of auto attacks. I think that, on the patch notes, we said, please give us your feedback on how this feels. And if the community thinks it should be on more relics, I think that it is something we are open to discussing. I am of the personal belief that beads is very different than all of those other relics, literally every other relic, because it is so critical to get it off at that exact second. You can make the argument, I guess, for sprint or horrific or anything like that, but anything that changes your state, like Aegis would, that silences you. I think they're just two different things, personally. But if the community wants, Blink, Aegis, Sprint, Horrific, Ankh, all that kind of stuff, if they want it, we'll discuss it. But I think our plan right now is to wait and see what people think, and kind of doing it.
I don't think that Aegis should do it, because I remember back in the day, people would like Aegis during Chronos ults, Aegis during Geb ults.
Mm-hmm.
And
it just has so many clarity concerns and
Yeah, and so many interactions where like if a Geb like blink ults me, but he Aegises to cancel his animation, but he still gets my beads.
Yep.
That's not gonna feel great, and
No.
that's just gonna be like, I mean, I know that he's using 2 relics to get my 1 relic, but like idea-wise, it's just a weird interaction that I don't think should be a thing. I think for other things like sprint and for Ankh and for Shell, like those would be more applicable because it wouldn't take away his animation.
Right.
But and Beats doesn't obviously take away your animation. You're stopping another person's animation or stopping a CC.
Right.
Whereas Aegis, you're stopping yourself, which I don't think should be a thing.
Yes, I agree.
And kind of the same for Blink.
Yeah. Has anyone thought about what it would be like if Pele could start her 2 and then blink on you? Has anyone thought about that? Because I don't want to deal with that. Do you?
Yeah, in my nightmares, I think that
Yeah.
I feel like I would just die instantly.
Yeah. Do you want Pele to start her ultimate and then blink in the middle of the wind up and then like show up in your lane already slamming you for 1,000,000 damage? Like, I'm personally not super for it, but you know, it's not up to me.
Like,
and it's not. It's you know, we want to do what the players want. So if a lot of players want it, we will talk about it. But that's my personal stance.
I feel like it'd be that like Jig's Twitter clip of the Combat Blink consumables or whatever they used to be.
Yeah.
It was
oh my
like
god,
Dragon
dude!
Ball Z
Imagine
fight.
the Sobek alt fully charged, like blink right on top of you over the wall. It would be a lot for sure.
It would literally be a different game.
Completely different game for sure. All right, excuse me. Let's head to our Patreon Discord if you want to get involved and be a part of our Discord community. Get some awesome pet picks. I believe Timmy Two Shots just dumped a bunch of great pet picks in there. Patreon.com/backliners is where to go. We will also be hopping into that Discord right after the show to shoot the breeze a little bit with everybody, all the patrons who are able to make it, and get to know you guys a little bit, and you know, answer any questions you might have directly there. Again, patreon.com/backliners is the place to go for that. And that is where we're going to be getting all of our random questions of the week going forward. So we're already way over time for this episode, Barry, so we got to go pretty quick here. Neon Kerm asked, our favorite concert that we've ever been to.
Ooh. I would say give me like 10 seconds to think.
Okay. Favorite concert I ever went to was the first one I ever went to. It was Dashboard Confessional with Say Anything opening for them. It was awesome. It was a great time. Really, really great concert. Great memories of me and all my friends there and all that kind of stuff. We were right next to the speakers. I couldn't hear the next day like at all. I may or may not have done permanent ear damage, and I'd do it again. I'll do it again. Basically, is the way I feel about that.
So I don't remember a specific concert, but I can give you like a favorite band.
Sure.
Sleeping with Sirens. My top 3 live shows would be Sleeping with Sirens, Black Veil Brides, and Bring Me the Horizon, I think. And then on top of all of those, I think I would say Fit for a King, just because I'm a big fan of them, and you know, the lead singer like hosted my stream and gifted subs, so that was really cool.
That is really cool. Well, Neon did ask if you go to the concert of any musician alive or dead that you haven't seen before, who would you see? So I don't know if you've seen.
Probably 30 Seconds to Mars, I think. I forgot about Sum 41. Okay, Sum 41 might be my favorite show just because I grew up with them in like the Halo CE, Halo 2 days.
Sure.
And I was listening to them on cooldown. This one's gonna be kind of sad, but Linkin Park.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, like, didn't go to concerts back then.
Sure.
But I really wish that I did. Like, as a edgy teenager, if I could have gone to like Meteora or like a Hybrid Theory show, I think I would have passed out by like how cool it was. And that was back when I was like, live music, like that can't be that good, because I'd watch like the really low quality videos back then and be like, oh, it doesn't even sound the same. Like, but you're not going for like the exact sound, you're going for the experience.
Yep.
And like moshing with people or they're just enjoying the same music with everyone in the crowd. Like that's way more important than like exactly what the band sounds like or the lead singer sounds like. Um, yeah, Sum 41 put on a crazy show. I was in the mosh pit like the whole time, and just a banger of a show. I would definitely like. Uh, I don't even know. I don't know who my favorite like of all time is. It's too hard for me.
Fair enough. As for musician that I haven't seen before, there's a little tiny band from Cleveland called Envoy, Envoi. They are just better Paramore, and I love Paramore, and I'm still right.
They're so good.
They are so good. Apparently, they broke up, and then they are putting on a show in early December, and I am seriously considering buying a plane ticket and going to Cleveland for the show in early December. So we'll see if I end up going to that. All right. Spit Taz wants to know our favorite comic book superhero or villain.
So my answer's kind of lame. I'm probably just gonna go with Spider-Man because I really enjoyed the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man over like any other superhero ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really that into superhero stuff. I was way more into it when I was younger than now. But yeah, I would say like that era of Spider-Man.
Mine is also Spider-Man. Cue all the references to Maui because everyone's been making them already. Mish wants to know what's something that you loved as a child but can no longer stand, or vice versa, something that you used to hate but now crave. Used to hate but now crave is definitely like healthy foods. I very much look forward to having like tonight. Like we've been eating out a lot and having a lot of really great meals, but I was like, let's just make like a grilled chicken salad for dinner tonight with like some spinach, and that's it. And it was delicious, and my body definitely craves that a lot more than I used to as a child. Something I used to love as a child, but don't like now. Butterfingers, I was really into as a kid. I don't hate them now, but they used to be my favorite candy bar. Now they're not top 5. Strawberry milk, I used to drink like all the time. I don't know the last time I had it, but I do want it. So maybe that's not a good answer. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
For loved, I would say fast food experiences.
Oh, still love those.
Because we barely ate out ever. So going to like McDonald's is a big thing. Like that was huge.
Right.
So it was very rare and very like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. And then whenever I got a job and got my own money and started to go to fast food more often, you hit a point of like, why am I doing this to myself?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I still haven't hit that yet. I love fast food. I love it.
You'll as a V word, I'm not gonna
V word, right? It's okay, Bear. Everyone loses their V word eventually. Sorry. It's 9:30, bro. This podcast has been going on too long. I'm moving us on. Percy asks, do you have a preference for what side of someone you walk on? I am annoying to my poor wife, and I will always force her to not be walking next to the road. And she will always roll her eyes and say that I'm going to stop a car. And she's right. I would get killed, and she would also get killed by a car instantly. But I don't know. It's just ingrained in my head. I just like it's just I don't even think about it. Just automatic. So whatever, I prefer to walk on whatever side puts me in between my wife and the road.
Yeah. Kind of the same for me in Destiny.
Yeah.
Wherever the danger is, I'm gonna be between that. Whatever the danger happens to be, or whatever makes her more comfortable.
Yep.
So I guess I don't have a preference. My preference is just wherever she puts me.
Yep. There it is. That is the way it be. And then Timmy Two Shots asked, what is your green room setup but for your house? Money is no option. It's not like a housekeeper or cook, but more like something specific you like or an annoyance it would eliminate. Like always having sushi in the house. Timmy would always have a vending machine full of socks. I hate finding socks, so that would eliminate that annoyance. That's a good answer, Timmy. The vending machine of socks.
Can I have a vending machine of bread?
Yeah, a vending machine of bread is exactly what you can use.
Wait, can you further explain the question? I don't really.
Yeah, so like what is a nice little convenience that you could put in your house that like isn't a normal thing and you don't have to worry about it being like affordable. Like I know I thought of mine. Mine would be, you know, the little like fridge doors that you can get water from, you know, that like have the like ice and you just on the door of the fridge, you just that's where you get
Oh, on
your
the
water.
outside?
Yeah, on the outside, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have one of those, just the thing on the outside of the fridge. I would have one of those on every wall in the house, pretty much. Like in every room, I would have a little like water tap and an ice tap right there that you could get fresh water from at any time. That would be mine. Because it sucks whenever you're thirsty and you want to go downstairs and get a water, but your ADHD won't let you and you have to be locked in on the thing that you're doing right now. Just right there, you know, I could, and yeah, before anyone says it, could I get the big water cooler thing where I gotta like flip it over and the water goes everywhere? I'm not doing that, okay? So quit asking.
He's not doing it.
I'm not doing it. It would be different. It would be cold coming out. I'd be able to get ice. I'm not putting a fridge in every room either. I only want the thing that I could put it right in the wall and I can just fill up my cup just like that. That's what I want.
Can I get a moat?
Sure.
Oh, I would want a moat. I feel like a moat would be really cool. Or like, honestly, your idea is pretty good. Or a slide.
To go downstairs, that would be nice.
Yeah, or like a fireman's pole that I could just, because our house, like the way it's laid out is kind of awkward. Like it takes me like, it's like it's just weird. It takes me so long to get to the fridge from where I am.
Yeah.
So if I could just like pull straight to the fridge and then pull right back up, it'd save me so much time. I mean,
yeah, that'd be the big one is can I go straight from my couch to my bed, you know, like without having to walk.
Yeah.
Like could I get like those futuristic tubes and just get all right and I just go flying through them
that'd be so cool.
Just dropped right into my bed.
Yeah,
everyone always looks at, you know, Wall-E, like they've got the like little, you know, it's the people in the little carts and everything's right there and that's like something that would happen to them. And I'm kind of thinking like, is that really that bad? Like that sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like a chutes and ladder house now.
Yeah.
And that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, but no ladders. Automatic only.
Yeah.
Because climbing a ladder would take effort.
Yeah, it's like the thing at the bank where it just launches.
Yeah, exactly. But
tuba.
Me to my bed.
Okay, that'd be so cool.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, we're
we got
stupid.
It.
These are terrible.
We got it. We're good. We got it right there. All right, thanks everybody for watching and listening. Of course, we'll be back next week to talk a little bit more about the 9.10 patch notes in totality. And yeah, appreciate all the Maui love. It's been really awesome and super excited for everyone to get to play them starting tomorrow, which is really great. Shout out to Mint Mobile. Again, mintmobile.com/backliners. A great way to support the show is by interacting with our sponsors. Another good way to support us directly is by going to the patreon.com/backliners, and getting to hang out with us right after the show, which is what we are going to go do right now. So, and check out all our predictions, other great shows. They've got a lot of great shows covering a bunch of different esports. You know, Overwatch 2 news, all that kind of stuff, all the new games. You know, the new God of War is coming out in like less than a month. Holy crap. I can't believe that. I just saw that right before the podcast, so it's been on my mind. All right, Barra, you know what to do?
Bye.
Oh, a little